What if the greatest barrier to your personal growth isn't the external world, but the parts of yourself you refuse to acknowledge?
Carl Jung, a pioneering psychologist, introduced the concept of the shadow, the hidden, often darker aspects of our personality that we suppress or deny. He argued that ignoring these traits doesn't eliminate them. Instead, it empowers them to disrupt our lives in subtle, yet destructive ways. The shadow is not merely a flaw. It's a force that, when denied, can sabotage your relationships, self-esteem, and potential. Consider a man who sees himself as calm and composed. When provoked, however, he erupts in anger, only to blame others for his outburst. Jung would point out that this rage is part of his shadow, a trait he rejects in himself. As he famously said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." By denying his anger, he projects it outward, creating conflict and confusion. Similarly, a woman who hides her envy might feign happiness at a friend's success, yet inwardly resent it. Over time, this unacknowledged feeling festers, straining her connections and diminishing her sense of self. Denying your shadow doesn't make it vanish. It grows stronger in the dark. Like a caged animal, it waits for a chance to break free, often at the worst moments. Jung described the shadow as what you don't want to be, but refusing to face it hands it the reins to your life. It might show up as self-sabotage, missed opportunities, broken promises, or patterns of failure you can't explain. The longer you run from it, the more it shapes your reality. So, how do you confront this hidden self? It begins with unflinching honesty. Look at what bothers you in others, arrogance, laziness, cruelty, and ask, where do I see this in myself? These are clues to your shadow. Journaling can be a powerful tool. Write about times you felt ashamed, jealous, or out of control. Don't hold back. Let the truth spill onto the page. Therapy or counseling can also guide you through this process, offering a safe space to unravel what's buried. Embracing your shadow doesn't mean indulging in negativity. It means recognizing and managing it. For instance, someone who accepts their selfish tendencies can choose generosity, while denial leaves them blind to their actions. Jung's insight cuts deep. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Denying your shadow surrenders your agency. Facing it restores it. A person who owns their flaws can grow beyond them, while one who pretends they don't exist remains their prisoner. Take a woman who admits her fear of failure. She can work to overcome it. But if she denies it, that fear will quietly steer her away from every risk, leaving her stagnant. In the end, denying your shadow is like fleeing your own reflection, an impossible escape. It's always there, trailing behind you, shaping your life whether you acknowledge it or not. Will you let it haunt you, pulling strings from the shadows? Or will you turn and face it, integrating all parts of yourself into a fuller, truer whole? The choice is yours, but denial comes at a steep price. A life half-lived, shadowed by the self you won't see. Have you ever felt like your emotions are a burden, something to be hidden away? The reality is, suppressing your emotions doesn't make them vanish. It buries them deeper, where they fester and grow, only to erupt in ways you can't predict or control. Think of John, a successful businessman who wore his stoic mask like a badge of honor. He saw emotions as weakness. When his company hit a crisis, he swallowed his fears, projecting strength for his team. But the pressure mounted, and one day, in the middle of a meeting, he crumpled under a panic attack. It was a brutal wake-up call. Suppressing emotions isn't strength, it's a slow march to collapse. Carl Jung, the great explorer of the human psyche, once said, "Emotion is the chief source of all becoming conscious." There can be no transforming of darkness into light and of apathy into movement without emotion. He knew what we often forget. Emotions aren't obstacles, they're the raw material of growth. To deny them is to deny yourself. Imagine your suppressed feelings as a volcano, silent but seething. Each ignored tremor, each stifled cry, adds to the pressure beneath the surface. How long can you hold it back before the eruption tears through your life, leaving chaos in its wake? But there's a way out, a skill to master. Start by facing your emotions head-on, without judgment. Every evening, take 5 minutes to reflect. What did you feel today? Write it down, anger, joy, fear, whatever it was, and trace its trigger. This simple act pulls your emotions into the light, where they lose their power to haunt you. If the weight feels too heavy, seek a therapist or counselor. There's no shame in asking for a guide on this journey. Embrace your emotions, for they are the pulse of your soul. To suppress them is to silence who you are. Dare to feel, and you'll find the strength you've been searching for all along. Do you ever tell yourself that everything will magically fall into place without effort? It's a seductive lie, one that Carl Jung warned against when he urged us to confront reality over comforting fantasies. Living in illusions, clinging to dreams without action, or believing in a distorted version of the world keeps you trapped in a haze, far from your true potential. As Jung put it, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. But how long can you hide from the truth before it shatters your fragile bubble? Consider Sarah, a dreamer who spent years imagining herself as a best-selling author. She talked endlessly about her novel, sketching characters in her mind, but never wrote a single page. Someday, she'd say, convinced inspiration would strike like lightning. Years passed, and her dream remained a mirage, leaving her bitter and unfulfilled. The harsh truth? Illusions are a thief, stealing time and opportunity while you wait for a future that never arrives. Ralph Waldo Emerson warned, "The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be." Living in illusions is a choice, a refusal to act, to face the gap between where you are and where you want to be. It's comforting to believe success will come without sweat, or that your flaws don't matter. But illusions erode your agency, chaining you to a cycle of excuses and regret. How many somedays will you waste before you wake up? The skill to break free is grounding yourself in action. Start with clarity. Write down one dream you've been chasing in your head. Break it into small, tangible steps. Say, writing 200 words a day for Sarah's novel. Commit to one step daily, no matter how small, and track your progress in a journal. If self-deception creeps in, challenge it. Ask, is this belief based on reality, or am I avoiding the work? Over time, this practice builds a habit of truth, pulling you out of the fog. Illusions are sweet, but they're poison in disguise. They lull you into complacency, whispering that you can drift through life and still win. But the world doesn't bend to your fantasies. It rewards those who act. Will you cling to the mirage, watching your dreams fade? Or will you shatter the illusion, step into reality, and claim the life you're meant to live? Why do you let the voices of others drown out your own? Carl Jung, a beacon of psychological insight, warned that surrendering to external opinions is a betrayal of the self. It's a subtle trap, seeking validation from friends, family, or even strangers, only to lose sight of who you are. Jung noted, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But when you let others' judgments define you, the transformation isn't growth, it's erosion. Steve Jobs once said, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life." Dependence on others' opinions is a thief, stealing your authenticity. It's tempting to seek applause, to mold yourself into what others admire. But whose life are you living? Each nod of approval you chase pulls you further from your truth, until you're a stranger to yourself. The skill to reclaim your voice is cultivating self-trust. Start by identifying one decision you've made to please others, maybe a job or a relationship. Reflect in a journal. Why did I choose this? What would I do if no one judged me? Then, practice small acts of defiance. Share an opinion, make a choice without seeking input. Affirm your worth daily, say, "My voice matters." Over time, these steps build a core of confidence, unshaken by external noise. Dependence on others' opinions is a cage with an open door. You can stay, shrinking to fit their expectations, or step out and claim your freedom. Will you let their voices script your life? Or will you listen to the one voice that matters, your own, and paint the masterpiece only you can create? Why do you point fingers when life goes wrong? Carl Jung, a master of the human psyche, saw avoiding responsibility as a refusal to embrace your own power. When you dodge accountability, you hand over the reins of your life to chance, circumstance, or others. Jung warned, man is not a machine that can be remodeled for quite other purposes as occasion demands. He carries his whole history with him. That history includes your choices. Own them, or they'll own you. Jean-Paul Sartre cut to the core. We are our choices. To shirk responsibility is to reject freedom, choosing victimhood over agency. It's easy to say, "It's not my fault," when a relationship fails or a goal slips away. But what are you really saying? That you're helpless, a leaf in the wind, with no control over your path. That's a lie that costs you everything. The skill to break free is owning your choices. Start small. The next time you falter, miss a task, snap at a friend, pause and reflect. Write in a journal, what did I do to contribute to this? How can I fix it? Then act, apologize, redo the work, make it right. This builds a habit of accountability. If the weight feels heavy, talk to a mentor or therapist to unpack why you deflect blame. Over time, you'll see responsibility not as a burden, but as a tool to sculpt your life. Avoiding responsibility is like running from your shadow. You can't escape it. It follows, shaping your story with every dodged duty. Will you keep blaming the world, watching opportunities fade? Or will you step up, claim your power, and write a life that's truly yours? Why do you let dark thoughts cloud your horizon? Pillars of strength crumble under the weight of negativity. Carl Jung, a visionary of the human psyche, warned that our thoughts shape our reality. What you resist persists, he said. Negative thinking isn't just a habit. It's a prison, locking you in a cycle of despair and missed opportunities. But how often do you let it rule you? Norman Vincent Peale wrote, "Change your thoughts and you change your world." Negative thoughts are like poison, seeping into your confidence, relationships, and dreams. They convince you the glass is half empty, that risks aren't worth taking, that failure is inevitable. But what if you're wrong? What if the only thing stopping you is the story you tell yourself? The skill to overcome this is reshaping your mindset. Start by noticing negative thoughts as they arise. Write them down. I'm not smart enough for this job. Then challenge them. What evidence proves I can't do this? Replace the thought with a positive one. I can learn and grow into this role. Practice gratitude daily. List 3 things you're thankful for, no matter how small. This rewires your brain to seek light over darkness. If negativity feels overwhelming, a therapist can guide you to unravel its roots. Negative thinking is a choice, though it feels like a reflex. It's a heavy chain, but you hold the key. Will you let it define you, watching life pass by? Or will you break free, embrace possibility, and create a world where you thrive? How many times have you whispered, "I'll do it tomorrow," only to find tomorrow never comes? Carl Jung understood that procrastination is more than laziness. It's a betrayal of your potential. He warned, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." Every delayed task, every postponed dream, is a step away from the life you could live. Why do you let time slip through your fingers? Consider Alex, a budding entrepreneur with a vision for a startup. He had ideas, plans, even a notebook full of sketches. But when it came to action, writing a business plan, reaching out to investors, he hesitated. "I'm not ready," he'd say, scrolling through social media instead. Years later, someone else launched a similar idea, and Alex was left with nothing but regret. The harsh truth? Procrastination doesn't just delay success, it steals it. Benjamin Franklin cautioned, "You may delay, but time will not." Procrastination is a thief cloaked in comfort, luring you with the promise of later. But later becomes never, and dreams dissolve into excuses. It's easy to think you have endless tomorrows, but each moment you waste is a piece of your future gone. What are you waiting for? A perfect moment that doesn't exist. The skill to conquer procrastination is mastering time. Start with a simple to-do list. Write down 3 tasks for the day, ranked by importance. Tackle the hardest one first, breaking it into small steps. Say, drafting 1 paragraph of a report. Set a timer for 25 minutes and work without distraction, a technique called Pomodoro. Reward yourself after, maybe with a short walk. Reflect nightly in a journal. What did I accomplish? What stopped me? If fear or overwhelm fuels your delay, a coach or therapist can help uncover why. Procrastination is a seductive trap, promising ease while robbing your dreams. Will you keep pushing your life to an endless tomorrow? Or will you act now, seize today, and build the future you deserve? Have you ever considered how much of your world revolves around you? And only you? Carl Jung saw egocentrism as a dangerous trap, a mindset that blinds you to others and isolates you in a prison of your own making. When you believe the universe orbits your desires, you lose connection, empathy, and ultimately yourself. Jung warned, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parent." Extend that thought. The greatest burden you impose on others is a life consumed by self-absorption. Why do you demand the spotlight when true fulfillment lies in sharing it? Oscar Wilde cut through the illusion. Most people are other people. Their thoughts are someone else's opinions, their lives a mimicry, their passions a quotation. Egocentrism isn't just selfishness. It's a refusal to see the world through any lens but your own. It's the colleague who takes credit for a team's work, the partner who dismisses their lover's pain, the friend who listens only to respond. Each act of self-absorption tightens the noose of isolation. How long can you survive in a world where you're the only star? The skill to break free is cultivating empathy. Start by practicing active listening. In your next conversation, focus entirely on the other person. Ask questions, reflect their words, and resist the urge to steer the talk back to you. Write in a journal afterward. What did I learn about them? How did they feel? Volunteer for a cause, serving meals at a shelter, for instance, to shift your focus outward. If egocentrism feels ingrained, a therapist can help you explore its roots, often tied to insecurity or fear. Over time, these practices rewire your perspective, making connection a reflex. Egocentrism is a gilded cage, shiny but suffocating. It promises you're the center of the universe, but leaves you alone in it. Will you keep demanding the world bow to you, watching relationships fade? Or will you step beyond yourself, embrace others, and find the richer life that waits? Why do you cling to the familiar when the unknown holds the key to your growth? Carl Jung, a profound thinker of the human condition, saw fear of change as a chain that binds us to stagnation. To resist change is to resist life itself, for transformation is the heartbeat of existence. Jung wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain. Change is that pain, a crucible that forges a stronger, truer you. But how often do you shy away, choosing comfort over courage?" Imagine David, a middle-aged accountant trapped in a job he loathed. The monotony drained his spirit, yet when offered a chance to retrain as a teacher, a dream he once held, he froze. What if I fail? What if it's worse? He thought. Years later, still in the same cubicle, he's haunted by the life he might have lived. The cruel truth? Fear of change doesn't protect you. It buries you alive, anchoring you to a sinking ship while the horizon beckons. John F. Kennedy declared, "Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future." Fear of change is a thief, stealing your potential one hesitation at a time. It whispers that the devil you know is better than the one you don't, convincing you to stay small, safe, and unfulfilled. But what are you really preserving? A life half-lived, where dreams gather dust and your soul grows restless. Every time you avoid a risk, a new job, a move, honest conversation, you tighten the grip of fear. The skill to conquer this fear is embracing the unknown, step by step. Start small. Try one new thing each week, like a different route to work or a new hobby. Reflect in a journal. What did I feel? What did I learn? This builds resilience to uncertainty. For bigger changes, break them into manageable parts. Say, researching a career shift before quitting your job. Visualize success. Spend 5 minutes daily imagining the life you want, feeling its joy. If fear feels paralyzing, a therapist or coach can help unpack its roots, often tied to past failures or loss. Over time, these practices make change a friend, not a foe. Fear of change is a heavy anchor, dragging you back when you could sail forward. It promises safety but delivers regret. Will you stay tethered, watching life pass by? Or will you cut the rope, embrace the winds of change, and discover the boundless possibilities awaiting you? How long will you carry the weight of old wounds, letting resentment poison your soul? Carl Jung, a luminary of human psychology, understood that the inability to forgive is a chain that binds you to the past, robbing you of peace and freedom. He wrote, "The psychological rule says that when an inner situation is not made conscious, it happens outside as fate. Holding on to grudges doesn't punish the one who hurt you, it imprisons you. Why do you cling to pain when letting go could set you free?" Louis B. Smedes profoundly said, "To forgive is to set a prisoner free and discover that the prisoner was you." Unforgiveness is a heavy burden, tainting your relationships, health, and self-worth. It's the sleepless nights replaying old hurts, the walls you build to keep others out, the cynicism that clouds your hope. Each moment you dwell on the past is a moment stolen from your future. What are you gaining by holding on? Nothing but a heart grown heavy with scars. The skill to forgive begins with intention and practice. Start by reflecting. Write in a journal about the person or event you resent. Describe the pain, then ask, what would my life be like without this burden? Try a forgiveness meditation. Visualize the person, acknowledge the hurt, and silently wish them peace, even if it feels forced at first. Small steps matter. Forgive one aspect of the betrayal, like a single lie, before tackling the whole. If the wound runs deep, a therapist can guide you through the process, helping you untangle grief or betrayal. Forgiveness doesn't mean excusing the act. It means reclaiming your power to move forward. The inability to forgive is a cage you lock yourself in, key in hand. It promises justice but delivers suffering. Will you stay shackled, reliving old pains? Or will you unlock the door, release the past, and step into a life of freedom and peace?